Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to week 2, English 122. This is online class. Again, I'm Chris Moreno. I hope you have had a good week and not spent too much time on English. I wanted to give you an update. I've posted a video with the detailed information about the assignments, the writing sequence. That's underneath the example assignment tab. I'm going to be putting up a tab under the notes folder tab or notes folder for lecture notes, supplemental material, think abouts. It's what's going to be called. And it's just little brief things encapsulating what we're doing that week. So for example, for week 1, we were looking at audience clarity. For this coming week, I want to think about authority as an author yourself. How do you control that authority in your writing? And what are you seeing in analyzing other authors if they have authority? And then context. Context, I'm going to harp on context all semester. If you don't locate your argument, if you don't locate the problem for your audience clearly, then you don't control the argument completely. So always work toward context and authority, thinking about those two. I wanted to compliment you on your discussion posts. They're very thoughtful, and I really appreciate the time that you put into them. They're incredibly detailed. I love reading your work. I love seeing the insights that you're getting. I love how kind you are to each other. That's really important, and collaborative, absolutely. I really love the discussions I'm seeing, so please keep those up. Let me know if you have any questions about them. I've had some great questions about the discussion posts, and I've clarified, I hope I've clarified that in the sample assignments tab. Again, let me know if you have any questions. So for week 2, we're moving into analysis. We're looking at critical analysis and rhetorical analysis. Compressing something very important into 1 week is very difficult, but you've had a lot of this in 121. It should be recursive. I'm just reviewing the stuff so you can get busy towards your own research work. I've got 2 computers going. I'll be looking at our one computer so I can see what you're seeing on the course website at the same time I'm talking to you on the video. I apologize. My dogs can lose their minds. If I stop the video, it's to get them to calm down, and then I'll start up again. So I apologize if they're interrupting our evening. Try to get them while they're sleeping. So tonight I wanted to really look at the things that we're looking for critical analysis. I wanted to remind you you've got assignment 1B is coming up. It's due next Sunday. So tonight is September 29th, Sunday the 29th, the end of our first full week. On Sunday, October 6th, that's when assignment 1A is due. And I put up the information that's going to be looking at description, analysis, and evaluation of a political cartoon or an editorial cartoon. So this week we're going to move into analysis. Analysis is looking at somebody else's argument and assessing. We're looking to see if it's effective. And for rhetorical analysis specifically, we're looking whether it's persuasive. So when we're looking at analysis, we're talking about things like how something is structured. Is it logical? Is it well supported? Do the claims and evidence fit or detract from the overall argument? We want to look at things like, does the author give you a so what? Does the author give you any kind of support for the thesis? Do they work their thesis well? Those are the kinds of things we're looking at in critical analysis. Critical analysis, you're only using the lens of a reader. Don't agree or disagree with an author. You are looking at how they structured it. Are they an effective author? So it's as if you were the grader. If you were grading their paper, would you say, yes, I love this argument. I'm going to take it home. I'm going to go on a date with it several times. No, you're just looking at it. How am I assessing this overall? Is it effective? Did they do a good job supporting what they're trying to do? So we're going to be looking at analysis this week. We're going to look at the critical analysis. Critical analysis is looking again at how something is structured, if it's logically reasoned, if it's supported with clear claims and evidence. Is the evidence interpreted out, or does the evidence take over the argument? You're looking at what strategies the author uses, and I'm going to go into the Morgan Spurlock piece that we're reading for this week too. Morgan Spurlock structures his Do You Want Lies with That? It's an excerpt from his extended book project. This is chapter 1 of his extended book project. So you have to consider that in a contextual sense, it is a part of a larger argument. So Spurlock's main thesis is probably not stated till the very last part of his argument. Is that an effective strategy? Do you get tied up or caught up with his playfulness of language and then lose sight of what he's trying to do? Is he too heavy-handed with the playfulness? Is he not playful enough? Because then he gets very angry against big business. Does he shift his audience? Does he shift his purpose? Does he make those shifts effectively? Thinking about those kind of things. So our discussion post this week asks you specifically to talk about how Morgan Spurlock structures his arguments. You're doing the basic steps of beginning critical analysis for your discussion posts. And then shifting gears, if you've worked with the rhetorical analysis in 121, rhetorical analysis is a form of critical analysis. Rhetorical analysis is looking at the sole purpose of persuasion. When an author goes into rhetorical strategies, they are trying to persuade you. They do that in just about any kind of writing, but they specifically make appeals. So one appeal is the appeal to logic, logos. One is the appeal to emotion, or pathos, and one is the appeal to ethics, ethos. So you want to see, what are they doing? Are they making appeals? So in Morgan Spurlock's case, does he rely primarily on a pathetic appeal, an emotional appeal? Is he making you laugh? Is he logical? Is he shifting around? Is he using multiple of those? Is he effective at using those appeals? Are they persuasive to you? Thinking too about rhetoric, you can use devices to decorate the message. So thinking about analysis in itself is not what an author is saying, but how they're saying. I want you to really think about that. It's not what they're saying, but how they're saying it. So moving way far away from summary, which is what they're saying. We're looking into the nitty-gritty of how they're saying it. In a critical analysis, you're looking for, what's the text meaning? Is it effective? Does it effectively present what they're trying to argue, what it's meaning, what are the deeper meanings that you can uncover through critical analysis, close reading. Rhetorical analysis looks at how that message is delivered. It's decorating the package that the message comes in. So devices, you can look at the appeals, the 3 appeals. The devices that authors use, typically they'll use repetitions, they'll use metaphors, imageries, metaphors comparing two objects. Sometimes they're dissimilar. Imagery, painting word pictures for you. If you're using conditionals, if, then, word construction, sentence construction. If you're using if, thens, or but for, if you use those kind of constructions, then you're presuming that your audience is going along with, if this happens, then that happens. You're assuming it's logical. What if it's illogical? Think about that. So challenge your authors on those kind of things. Repetitions. If somebody said, I think about Dr. Seuss. I do not like them, Sam, I am. I do not like green eggs and ham. I will not eat them here or there. I will not eat them anywhere. It goes on and on and on. What is the point of that repetition? Is it to mimic childhoodness? Is it childishness? Is it to hone the point? Sure, it's helping someone learn to read, but is there a deeper message in there? Morgan Spurlock, well, we've got all these warning labels because Americans are too darn dumb to figure out how to use a product. And then we have to oversell that product. Then we have to sell remedies to that product. So think about those kind of things, the repetitions. An allusion, ALLUSIONS, is a cultural reference, a shared cultural reference. If somebody makes an allusion and says, oh, just as St. Paul did, what does that mean? If you don't know biblical studies at all, if you don't know who St. Paul is, then that might be lost on you. But if you are a room of clerics, as in the King's Letter from Birmingham Jail, my dear fellow clergymen, you better darn well bet that they know who St. Paul is, or they better should know who St. Paul is. So looking at that illusion, it's kind of a nudge, nudge, wink, wink, trying to align an audience to the author so there can't be a break. But what if the audience refuses to engage with that illusion? Or what if it's so far-fetched? What if I said, oh, it's my Achilles heel, but you don't know who Achilles is? Well, that illusion is lost. And we want to look at some moments of that in your own writing. You can use illusions. It's a fine, effective strategy. But you have to make sure your audience knows that. So again, that audience. Which brings us to the final point tonight of rhetorical triangle. Rhetorical triangle is the interplay between audience, author, and text, and thinking of it as a triangle. And up on our D2L site, if you look underneath the content tab under the assignments, the lecture notes, PowerPoints, and enhanced lessons, I have a PowerPoint specifically talking about rhetoric. So I have principles of argument up there. I have reading text up there. I have how to write a critical analytic essay. So the step-by-step of what you'll be doing for your assignment 1C, which is coming up after 1B, which is your basic argument. But the rhetoric PowerPoint, I'm looking specifically at that rhetorical triangle. And in that PowerPoint, you will see that on the last little portions of those slides, we talk about the rhetorical triangle. And what we're looking at is how an author is assuming an audience, and the audience is assuming the author's authority. I fully give you authority. I cede my power to you. I cede power to you as an author because you haven't shown me that you don't deserve that authority. But in critical analysis, you start looking for those chinks, those little flaws. So you're looking for anomalies, things that don't work, so that you can claim authority over that text. Even though the author is the one who's writing that text, you as an audience member are looking for reasons to doubt. So when we talk about intros and hooks and titles and the importance of those things as we start into the more nitty-gritties of writing, you want to understand that those things matter because your audience is always looking right off the bat. Why would I want to trust this person? Why would I give this person authority? You don't give authority to anybody. So, especially with an author, if somebody blows you out of the water, like, wow, this guy can write. Why? Why is he doing that? Why do you feel that way? Is it because he controls the language well? Because he controls his metaphors well? Looking at that, that's what we're looking for critical analysis week. So I want to refer you to those PowerPoints that I posted up under the enhanced lessons PowerPoints and notes. I want you to look at those rhetorical sections specifically. The rhetorical triangle is really looking for appeals. So you're looking at how I can strategize as an author to make my argument persuasive. And then as a reader, you can either look at specifically just the rhetorical strategies and devices they use, those appeals, or you can go back and look at just the structure. The structure, how they're doing it, what strategies that logical is supported. They blend together. So you don't have to say, I'm only going to do a critical analysis. I'm only going to do rhetorical analysis. You can combine it both. I'm not going to jam you up and say, well, you used the word rhetoric and you meant critical. I'm not going to do that. Get your feet wet. Really analyze what you're seeing. Try to claim control over the text you are reading, and I will give you free reign to have these texts. So this coming week, I want you to read Letter from Birmingham Jail. It's a spectacularly written rhetorical tour de force. It is one of the most spectacular pieces of rhetoric enacted on paper that you will ever see. Rhetoric started out to be a verbal for debate, and now it has. We don't do that anymore. So look at King's Letter from Birmingham Jail. Look at Morgan Spurlock's piece. That's in there too up for grabs. So the last component part I'm going to say for tonight, I'm going to talk about just a little bit about Kairos, Kairos. It's the rhetorical situation specifically. So as we've talked about the writing situation, I've referred to that on the text and from the video from last week. Rhetorical situation specifically looks at why now. It's the Greek for why now. You want to look at context and audience. Context and audience matter. So we're synthesizing from last week's lesson to this week's lesson for the Kairos. If an author can't control his Kairos, He's already collapsed his argument. So let me know if you have any questions about anything, and I will see you next week.